Bloodhound has gone from absolutely worthless to a solid overall pick. They've tweaked him in small increments and eventually brought him up to be a solid legend choice. He'll end up with an overall score of 11 and actually end up in the C category, and here's why. Alright, to start off with Bloodhound, we got his tactical. You press a button and it scans stuff. I'm not exactly going to go into in-depth on how to use it or what they do. That's for a different video. As far as movement and repositioning, you can scan, but the enemies are alerted, and this doesn't exactly give you an advantage in any way, helping you get to a different spot. So Bloodhound gets a 0 for this category. As far as engagement and or retreat, if you're fighting an enemy and you scan them, you know when they're coming around the corner. That gives you an advantage. If you're about to engage in a fight, you can scan an enemy team and know where their caustic traps are, know where the Watson fences are, know what's going on. You might even be able to catch a third party off guard. So he doesn't get a perfect 3 because the other enemies are alerted of this scan. So we'll put him at a 2 for this category. As far as teamwork goes, this is a 3. This helps everybody on your team. Everybody knows what's going on in a situation. If you roll up into a fight, this is a great teamwork ability. For his ultimate, we got the movement and repositioning. Because they have buffed Bloodhound a lot over the seasons, he gets a 2 for this category. He has plenty of speed and plenty of time to use this. The reason it's not a perfect 3 is because some people don't like the field of view change and the grayscale. You're also quite loud in this, so enemies can hear you coming if they're paying attention. So for this, we'll put him at a solid 2. For engagement and retreat, this gives you incredible strafe speed, and it's a solid 2. The reason it's not a 3 is because, again, you're very loud and a good player can hear you coming, and some people get thrown off by the strafe speed. So for this, we'll keep him at a 2. As far as teamwork, this ultimate helps your team in no way whatsoever. This is purely for your engagement and movement and repositioning. This does not help your team. Bloodhound's passive. As far as Bloodhound's passive goes, you could understand that people have been in a fight, so it's not a 0. His ability does give you some sense of direction. It's just barely there, so we'll give him a +1 on that one. As far as teamwork goes, he can mark these things and let his team know that there have been enemies in the area. So, again, we'll give him a +1. This will give Bloodhound an overall score of 11. With this overall score of 11, Bloodhound will be placed into the C category. He's good at some things, but not other things. He's, above average. He's not in critical condition like he was before. He's a viable pick, maybe not for ranked, but for pubs, he's definitely an average pick. As far as Bloodhound buffing him, I think that most characters in this game should hover around that C to B tier area that we've established. And with Bloodhound, the only advantage that I think would do him any good is changing his passive. His passive seems to be relatively weak and not that useful. So if Bloodhound's ever to receive any sort of additional buff or increase, I believe it should be to his passive. In my mind, a better passive for Bloodhound would be if he shoots an enemy, all their footsteps are tracked and marked. So during Bloodhound's ultimate, you can see red footsteps while an enemy is running. I would prefer that his passive would be that. So if you wound an enemy, you can always see their footsteps where they're going, or at least for a limited duration. That way Bloodhound could be a true tracker, and that way you could poke shots and then let your team know where an enemy is going, or if you've wounded them. Then you can also ping that and let your team know that there's a wounded character over there. So if Bloodhound's to get a buff in any respects, I think it would be in that. Other than that, I think he's a solid pick, and he's well balanced where he's at.